بیتو زدن حرومیا یا ابوالفضل صاف کردن.
We join you right now with breaking news from the Middle East. Israel has launched preemptive airstrikes against the Islamic Republic of Iran, going after a variety of positions inside the country. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz declaring a special state of emergency across the country. Just moments ago, air raid sirens were sounding here in Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv and across major population centers here in the Middle East, warning civilians to stay close to protected areas, to bomb shelters, understanding that in the minutes and hours ahead, Israel may come under direct Iranian attack. We are getting a new statement from Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz. He says, in part, the state of Israel has launched a preemptive strike against Iran. Defense Minister Israel Katz declares a special and immediate state of emergency across the entire country. The state of Israel has launched a preemptive strike against Iran to remove threats to the state of Israel. As a result, a missile and UAV drone attack is expected against the state of Israel and its civilian population in the immediate time frame. Remember, there has been an ongoing U.S. military buildup across the region for the past 2 months. The world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, is now just off the coast of Israel, near to the northern city of Haifa. You have the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group in the Arabian Sea, a variety of U.S. destroyers in locations across the region. And, of course, U.S. fighter jets, not only here in Israel, but also in places like Jordan. You heard just last night President Trump talking about what he prefers, a peaceful and diplomatic path that was offered to the Iranians, understanding, though, that they have been incredibly difficult in the past to reach agreements with. And while the president sent his negotiators to the region, to Oman, and then ultimately to Geneva, Switzerland over the past month, both U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner, ultimately the coordination was happening at the highest level, we understand, between the Americans and the Israelis if a decision was made to launch such a strike. And so we are waiting to get additional information from Israeli and American sources to determine what exactly has taken place. But I'm going to give you all of the updates that we are getting in right now as we receive them. We understand, according to the transportation minister of Israel, that Israel has now closed its airspace to civilian flights. Again, this is a precaution, understanding that the Israelis now are bracing for a variety of incoming possible ballistic missile and UAV attacks against their country. Remember, we were reporting here live during the 12-day war last June as the Israelis and the Iranians exchanged blows. And the Iranians have the ability to launch ballistic missiles. They take about 12 minutes to get to Israel, and they can cause significant damage to major population centers here. We also know that Israel has a variety of air defense systems at its ability, and some of those include the short-range systems, the Iron Dome system, the Arrow system, and also David's Sling. You also have Patriot missile defense systems and THAAD systems provided by the Americans that were deployed here in preparation for the possibility that a decision was made to strike Iran, understanding that there will be a response, as we saw over not just during the 12-day war, but also when the Israelis and the Iranians in 2024 exchanged blows 2 separate times in the spring of that year and also in October of that year. Again, if you are just joining us right now, we are reporting live from the Middle East, where Israel has made a decision to launch preemptive airstrikes against Iran amid the backdrop of a massive U.S. military buildup across the region. A special state of emergency has been declared across Israel. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz is urging all civilians to head to bomb shelters immediately. And again, I do want to bring in John Scott right now, who is going to continue with our reporting here. John, what do we know about the situation stateside?
Well, it's obviously coming as a great surprise to a number of people here in the U.S. We thought that with the vice president still heading over to the Middle East, that there would be further diplomacy before there was any kind of an attack on Iran, Trey. But obviously, this the Israeli attack seems to suggest that the United States will be ready with that massive amount of firepower that you were talking about to continue hammering the Iranians. That is yet to be determined, yet to be confirmed by the U.S. State Department or the Department of War. But it is certainly in the offing, or so it would seem. Now, we're looking at, smoke rising over Iran. Do we know yet, Trey, the extent of the attack that the Israelis have launched?
Right now, it's not clear the extent of the attack that the Israelis have launched, but we do anticipate we'll get more information in even the minutes ahead. As this is developing, we understand that there is a change in the Home Front Command guidelines in Israel and a decision to shift all activities for the civilian population to essential only. Not only is the Army on high alert along with air defense systems, but also you have a situation where the country has now shut down its civilian airspace, again, in preparation for the possibility that missiles or drones could be fired at Israel in a matter of minutes. John, stateside, where the president is this weekend, what do we know about President Trump's schedule going into the weekend here? We know he is in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, and obviously we know that he recently had that meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. There was also that warning to U.S. personnel in Israel to evacuate the country as long as they were non-essential. But I think a great many people will be surprised at the timing of this attack, especially coming as it appears to have in daytime. Generally, the Israelis and the U.S. launch these attacks at nighttime when they think they've got the element of surprise. Is it the case, Trey, that these first Israeli attacks fell during daylight hours, or was it pre-dawn there in Iran?
Yeah, we understand that these were strikes that took place during daylight hours, which, as you noted, is a very rare decision to be made by the Israelis or the Americans. Again, we don't know anything about American involvement yet, if there was any sort of coordination. Again, we do know there was coordination in preparation for possible strikes, but we are simply waiting to get any updates from the Trump administration about what has taken place this morning. As you note, though, there are images that we are getting from Iran, just east of the capital of Tehran, showing smoke rising from the horizon. And what we know, though, from the past, and this is very important information, is that both the Israelis and the Americans, but primarily the Israelis, went after air defense systems back during the 12-day war. And this likely has given the Israelis now more freedom of movement in the skies above Tehran and major areas of Iran, understanding that many of those air defense systems were taken out. Now, we do know that a lot of them were replaced by Chinese systems. They also had Russian S-300 systems, some of which were destroyed, again, by the Israelis over the past year. But when you think about the amount of damage that was caused during the 12-day war, not only with the Israeli strikes, but also President Trump ordering the strikes back in last year, of June of last year, against the Iranian nuclear facilities during Operation Midnight Hammer. The Iranians suffered major blows during the summer of last year, and they have been trying to rebuild their military and, according to President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, their nuclear program as well. And that's a part of the reason these recent buildup was taking place and new strikes were under consideration. But when we understand what the current state of the Iranian military looks like and the threat, we kind of have to break it down in a number of different areas. The nuclear threat and the understanding is that Iran was never able to reach a nuclear weapon. What they do have, though, is twofold, and it's incredibly worrisome to both the Americans and the Israelis. They have a medium-range ballistic missile program, and recent estimates, according to an intelligence source that I spoke to this week, are somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 medium-range ballistic missiles that could hit a country like Israel. they also have thousands of short-range missiles that could hit U.S. bases across the region. And that is part of the reason that you saw so much movement at the Al Udeid air base in Qatar, for example, in Kuwait, in other areas. It's the reason that you saw the partial evacuation of U.S. missions in the region, allowing non-essential personnel to leave, to go home. We saw just less than 24 hours ago the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem making that announcement for their non-essential staff. And so the foundation was being laid here in preparation for strikes. We didn't know how they were going to unfold. But again, the latest information that we have, if you are just joining us right now, Israel has launched preemptive strikes against Iran. Smoke is seen from the capital of Tehran, and special instructions were just given to Israeli civilians across the country to remain close to bomb shelters. John?
And one of the huge concerns, obviously, too, is simply the use of those ballistic missiles to create a dirty bomb to, even if Iran does not have a full-blown nuclear weapon, they could put some of that nuclear material that they already have, the uranium, explode it with conventional explosives in a ballistic missile and contaminate a widespread area with nuclear fallout that would make it unlivable for generations, perhaps. That is one of the great fears here. Trey Yingst, thank you. We will let you get some notes, and we will get back to you in just a bit. Let's check in with our Rich Edson for the latest from Washington on what's going on in Israel, as well as Iran, where the Israelis have launched what they call a preemptive attack. Rich.
Good evening, John. And we are looking to get any information, especially